You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more.
Your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today, we talking some indie comics with an amazing creator over here. Now, this writer, creator in the building is a co-creator of old agency series such as Cash and Carry. He's also a self-publisher out there via Ginger Rabbit Studios. Killing the game. Got a dope new book, that was introduced to the Cheese Spot, but now on Simon and Schuster and all. We're going to talk her story, her journey, her whole everything here. And I'm going to love to say this name because this sounds so G, no pun intended, and so gangster. The one, the only, Giulie Speziani. How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good. What's popping? How you feeling?
I'm doing good. It's great to be on the show. It's so awesome. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming through. Talk about that journey. This dope new book, Slice of Life, whole bunch of fun. Romina, getting her business done. Unless she get her business done. Hey, I ain't finished reading, but it's all right. It's all right. Shame on me. Time. Jeez. But all right, but Giulie, you're here. And yes. Your time right now. So. For fans that don't know and unawares of the amazingness that you have done, let's talk a little bit about you. All right, so where you OG from? And the most important question you ever hear in your life: what is the first thing in fandom overall that you ever fell in love with?
Okay, I'm originally from Miami, Florida. I was born and raised there. I went to college there, and then I went to LA for like 20 years. And then I met a lot of cool comic book peeps there. And actually there's where I started writing comics. But actually when I was like loving comics was probably young at like Sunday Funnies, like Calvin and Hobbes. That was kind of like my favorite. And then later when I saw Batman with Michael Keaton, I was just like, oh man, this is amazing. I wanna get into more like geeky, nerdy fandom stuff.
Where did you see Batman? It was, the first one. Was it videotape, the movie theaters?
No, it was a movie theater. I remember I was in Pompano Beach with my family and we watched it and I got home and I was just like, I'm gonna sleep upside down, just like he did in the movie. So,
did you try?
Like, this is so cool.
Don't bullshit me, Giulie. Did you try?
I tried, but like after a while, you're just gonna pass out. All the blood rushing to your head. You just don't want to do that for too long. But yeah, it was just like an amazing, because I don't think there's besides like Superman, but I was like too young at that point. But yeah, when I saw Batman, I was just like, oh, this is really cool. I guess I was more into DC or more into Marvel and DC earlier in life.
Okay, so in that geekdom. Especially as a girl, you know what I mean? Because not many girls are into geekdom. They are, but they don't share that with the fellas because the fellas are stupid. But sometimes, but within your tribes, or did you meet any fellas back then that you had a tribe with in your geekdom?
No, I wasn't so much a loner or anything because my best friend was into Star Wars. So
nice.
So when the Phantom Menace came out, she would like collect everything, like just like not only the toys, but I think Pepsi was doing like a promo with all like the Pepsi cans and she had like a collection of them. And then and my best friend and I, we would like play video games together and we would always play like Super, Mario Brothers, but also like other stuff. Good. And so, it was cool just to like, have like a fellow woman be like, hey, that fellow girl be like, hey, let's, go to arcades.
Like it's okay to be a geek and not just for boys, Good.
Yeah.
And I was trying to teach that to my girl because she loves Sonic, man. Oh my God.
Oh, Sonic is big.
And then we were also murdering each other in both Mario Kart and Rush 2049. Alyssa, watching, like, when I go back to Florida, I challenge you on Rush 2049 on the Dreamcast. I'm gonna beat your ass so bad, I can't wait. Daddy still got it. All right. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it's been like also like my older brother, he was just kind of like really to again like he grew up with Star Wars, but I was like kind of like later. So it was just something like to bond over with that. But I
Nice.
actually didn't start writing comics until I got to LA, and I took a class called at Mel.
What age were you when you made the move to LA, and why? Why you go from sunny Florida to Cali, go all the way to the other side of the US?
I wanted to like experience life on my own. It was after college, so I was like maybe like 23.
Okay.
And then drove out there, just packed up, took my friend out there with me, and then we just kind of
You
did a
were
little
with your
road trip.
homie. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And so we just took a road trip out there, and then we arrived in Hollywood on a Saturday night. And I remember just trying to navigate like all the roads and like especially like the freeway and be like, what's going on? Why is everyone passing me? There's like this kind of like crazy because all the crazy traffic. But yeah, it was there where I was just like, yeah, I just want to like kind of break free from South Florida and just try the West Coast. And so yeah,
I was in Florida for a minute. It's not that bad.
yeah. When you're from there, it's just kind of like, yeah, you kind of either you like it or you're not. If it's like part of your personality or not. And to me, I was just like, I don't see myself as an adult
I,
here.
I enjoyed the weather, but definitely Christmas was not Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. I never
Especially
experienced
in New
seasons,
York.
so I was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. All right. So you say you started writing when you went to LA and started, getting into your creative side. What kind of sparked that? What happened? What got you really to kind of put yourself in that creative side of you out there?
Well, I always had like a creative side. Like at one point, I was like an art major in college, but I knew that I wasn't like going to be an artist, quote unquote, like have a gallery or anything like that. So I was just kind of like, okay, I'll get into writing. But yeah, I started getting into like writing screenplays, and I was just like, well, where do they make movies? They make movies in LA, so I'll just write scripts over there. But while I was there, I just really started getting into like other media, like not just TV and movies, but also comic books. And so I took a class at Meltdown U, which is no longer around in
Okay.
Hollywood, and I did my first comic there. I wrote it and
Most
had
of
it
you
actually,
know the name.
and it actually came out to be like a zine called By the
Oh, really?
Slice. Yeah, so that was like my first comic book that I published way back when. I
How
want
did
to say
that
like 2011.
How did that feel though? Back 2011, look at this. All right. So a couple of years before that mess that happened in our lives, a couple of
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
So how did that feel getting that first published work out there?
It was great because like I remember just seeing my name on it. Like when you see your name on the cover of something, you're just kind of like, wow, this is out there. This is kind of scary, but it's almost like validating because everything that I was writing like for TVs and movies, it's kind of like, well, if you don't have like a friend that's like a director, you're not going to really do much. You kind of have to like navigate all those avenues. But with a comic, you could just have either you're the artist or you hire the artist and you'd be like, hey, let's do this together and then make this wonderful story. And that's what I did. And it was really great. I only have like one copy left. But yeah,
You
for the
better
longest
keep
time, it
that
was,
copy.
yeah,
Of
yeah, it's going to be worth money.
course.
But yeah, and then that was just like the starting point. And from there, I was able to just jump into like getting, writing more comics and getting them done and published.
All right. So what's your family background? Because I'm always interested in that because especially when it comes to artistry, I know because as Latinos, when for me as a Latino, like when you say you want to get into the artistry or the arts, they kind of don't understand that, especially old school parents. So kind of,
Yeah.
what's your heritage and like are they supportive and understand what you're trying to do here?
Yeah. So my background, my parents, my family is Peruvian. I was the first one
Hey,
born in the
Peru, there you
States.
go. Oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to tell my homegirl. She's Peruvian and she's very proud of her culture. I cannot wait to tell her I spoke to Peruvian creators. Right? There you go.
Yeah. But like, like seriously, it's like my family is like the perfect immigrant story. Like my parents had 7 kids in Peru and they took them to the States and then they had me. So I was like number 8.
Oh, all right. All right. 8 is enough. You were the last one.
That was the last one.
Oh man, so literally, so 8 is enough. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, my grandfather was Italian. That's why I have an Italian last name.
All right.
Um, but yeah, it's kind of like everyone's like, "Oh, so you're Italian?" I was like, "Well, part," and then the other part's Peruvian. But yep, I grew up in
Two
the States.
wonderful
First generation American. So
okay. Like two wonderful causes, yeah, and the start of a new one, baby. Let's go. Hey, I dig
yeah.
it. I dig it. All right. So talk about you navigating the game though, because here you are getting creative, creating comics. How was it navigating the game and finding, again, again, you say you're not an artist, so you're finding, artists. How was that journey like finding creative team members, getting into publishing, especially as a woman? And, in 2011, I know how hard the game is. I have a young lady in my life, my daughter. She's an amazing artist, and she has a hard time getting in. And I kind of feel like, oh, is it because she's a girl? What the fuck? She's more talented. See, I don't get this right now. I'm getting a little upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, back then, like it was, I basically had to like look on DeviantArt. Remember, that website,
Oh my God,
DeviantArt, where it's
TV.
just,
Yeah.
oh, it was like almost like the yellow pages of artists. It's like really hard to navigate.
Oh my
Like,
God, yellow pages, folks, please, kitties. We may be dating ourselves. If you look up yellow pages on Google, there was books you would get.
Oops.
For short people,
Sorry, Gen Z.
used to drive their car.
But yeah, I mean, it was just trying to find an artist. It was also almost like I already had like a friend that was like doing his own stuff, but it was just more like meeting people and getting into that like networking scene, like just kind of like hanging out and just going into the comic book shops and talking to like store owners and then doing stuff and going to conventions and talking to artists there. Like
What was your
Long
first
Beach Comic Con. Oh my first convention was Long Beach Comic Con.
Okay.
Yeah, and that I remember meeting like what's his name, Thomas Jane. He took a picture with
You
me.
met the Punisher himself. Stop lying.
Yeah, he wasn't
Oh,
wearing shoes, by the way.
oh, what?
Yeah, so we took a picture, and I was just like trying not to step on his toes.
Oh man.
Yeah, he didn't like wearing shoes at the convention. I was just like, okay, barefoot man, that's fine. That's
All right.
Hollywood.
What role was he playing? Jeez. All right.
I don't. But yeah, I mean, Long Beach Comic Con. I mean, it's kind of like it was a great convention only because it was still like small enough where you could just get the vibe of like everyone like really being artistic and creative without the huge like influences of like Hollywood, like they in San Diego Comic Con. Like that's huge. I've been there and it's really overwhelming. It's like too much stuff.
Gotcha. All right. So then let's start moving along. Getting into these publishers' houses now, with these books like Cash and Carry, for example, and
Yeah.
more. But what was that like pitching and getting in? What was that journey like?
So for Cash and Carry, what?
And where did you pitch? I also want to know, like, where were you spitting game at to get your stuff out there? I know that hustle spirit,
Yeah. I mean,
at
the
name like
time,
Speziani, that's gangster. I'm pretty sure you're putting out there some swag ones.
Here's my card. Please keep it.
You better keep it.
For Cash and Carry, it was kind of like I was actually kind of like fate because I was on Twitter back when Twitter was cool. Yeah. Back on Twitter, it was like comics Twitter, but not really at that point. But on Twitter, Sean Pryor, who was the president of Action Lab, actually reached out to me because he saw By the Slice and saw that I was doing other stuff and was like really interested in like collaborating with me. And he was just like, I had this like idea, let's just work on the story together and get an artist. And that's how Cash and Carry came about. So really, that was kind of like not easy, but it was just almost like when you have that sort of like camaraderie with somebody and they're like, hey, I want to work with you. Let's work together because we have like the same sensibilities. That's how it happened. So it was just like, hey, I'll get this published through Action Lab back in the day. And then, we'll see how it goes. And volume 1 came out, volume 2 came out. It was just great. It was really great to have Sean there, just at the helm, and getting the artists together and just putting out the book. Because I think the second one had the Kickstarter, and he's the one that headed up the Kickstarter, which I was really appreciated about.
Ooh, nice. I was there in Kickstarter. Did you know how to navigate Kickstarter prior to that?
No, not at all. He took care of that, and I was just kind of like, cool, because I hear it's just kind of like a second job. It's like really time consuming, and I was just like, dude, whatever you need from me, let me know. But
I love it.
I can't really help you out
I
here.
got you, but stay away. Keep that shit away from me for now.
I'll do all the promos. I'll jump in the interviews. I'll do whatever it can. I'll promote the hell out of this Kickstarter. Right. But like otherwise, I don't know what else to do because the book was already like written and completed. It was just more like, hey, let's get the Kickstarter going so we can have copies to give to people.
Love it. All right, so I know right now you've been pitching a lot of books, but there's a particular book out right now. It's a nice slice of life story, if you will. You know what I mean? And it's called Thanks Romina. I mean, right? It started, I believe, on the cheese bar brand, but now we got this like the GN through Simon & Schuster. Like, where's my picture at? How dare this stuff? I love technology and how she plays. Thank you. This is why I'm leaving streaming. I don't make it too late.
Thank you.
Look at that cover right there. Look at that. That artistry, that everything. Hey, I mean, talk about this book. Introduce me to this world of Thanks to Romina. Like, what's going on here? What was the inspiration? Like, what's going on?
So Thanks for Romina, it's kind of based on my life a little bit, but there's a lot of like creativity that went into it. But it's basically this Latina from Florida that makes it out to Hollywood, and she's just trying to find like her way into Hollywood. She's just like almost like when you're fresh out of college, you're almost kind of new again. You're like a freshman, you're just kind of like navigating what to do at your first job, your first real job. You're kind of like, everything is kind of like happening really fast, but you're trying to like keep up, because it's just more like a fish out of water type of scenario where she's just like, I'm being put in this job, but I don't even know if everyone knows what they're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm being thrust into this position where I have to fake it to make it.
And I want to ask again, coming from Florida, going to Cali, Peruvian, like, was there a big Peruvian community where you moved, or was it predominantly Mexican, South American, outside of Peruvian? Were you kind of a lone wolf in your community?
That's a good question, because like, I want to say like one of my first roommates, she was Mexican, but like that was pretty much like my only homie, like where I'm like, okay, we're cool. But I didn't meet any other Peruvians there. I mean, I'm trying to like think, but like otherwise they're just mostly,
just curious.
South, like Central American and Mexican, yeah.
I had a friend, Puerto Rican, that moved to Cali from New York, and he told me about his experience. He's like, there's not many of us out there.
Like in New York, you're gonna find a lot of Puerto Ricans. Same thing in Miami.
Yeah, out there, he goes, we're very rare. When they ask you, they look at you like, from where? Okay. Jesus Christ. I'm a good person, I promise. All right, but talk to me about Thanks Romina. I mean, again, it's beautiful artistry. Talk about this team, the publisher, how it started out. I mean, and pitching the book. I mean, because again, you're saying it's a piece of yourself within this. So how was it to pitch a book like that has a piece of you in it?
I mean, it was kind of like when I wrote it, I was just like, I gotta find something. I gotta find someone to actually do the art. But it was just kind of like very character driven versus like it's not like there's fantasy elements of like it being space, but there are those like funny moments where she's like in her head, and there's got to be like that kind of like funny faces. And so I actually found an artist on Twitter. She had her art published in an anthology, and I looked and she had also a webcomic called Rigsby, Wisconsin. And S.E. Case is the artist. And I went to their website and saw all the art. And I was just like, wow, this is great. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And so I kind of approached her and be like, hey, are you game? At least for like the first 10 pages to get like the pitch out, because you want to get those like first 10 art pages out just so the publisher could see, oh, this is what I'm into or what I'm not into, whatever.
The concept,
yeah. So I told her that, and she was like, sure. And then so I had the 10 pages. I had my pitch all together, and then I was trying to find editors, but they kept on passing. You know, I did the whole submission process of like, because there's certain publishers that will have you like, hey, we have like an open season, just go ahead and submit here, you know, your 10 pages and whatever. But like I never got called back or anything. And so on Twitter, again, I feel like this is like the most I'm promoting of Twitter back in the day.
And it's still a good platform for that. I listen, this is the secret, folks. Don't click on shit you don't like. Ignore the bad conversations, and I promise you that the comic community is still alive there. That's what I do. I don't click on stuff that's going to give me a headache. I'm not. And that's why I get to meet amazing people and I have a beautiful feed. I promise you guys, just do that. Anyway.
Yeah. And it was by chance that David Bowles, he is the editor-in-chief of Chispa. He had sent out some kind of like tweet saying, hey, we're looking for, we're opening up submissions to this new Latinx creator publisher.
Oh, perfect.
So I was just like, hey, so I messaged him. I was like, hey, I have something. He's like, oh, send it to me email. And sure enough, him and Hector also works at Chispa.
I spoke to Hector, man, a while back. That's why I like Chispa, the whole concept. A big salute to them and what they're trying to do with that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think Hector Rodriguez and David Bowles and the whole team there, they're really awesome. So when they saw, you know, what I had to offer, they're like, cool. How many issues are we going to talk about? You know, what were you thinking of? Like, how big is this going to be? So I sent them everything that I had, and they're like, all right, then here's the contract for you and the artist. Let's go. Let's put up. And I was just like, okay, you know, I mean, it sounds really simple, but it really took a long time to even get to that point. Like, it was just a lot of like rewrites and this kind of like getting people to kind of like read it and be like.
Let's talk about that, Julie, then, just to put creators' minds into a real perspective here. So, you know, they offer you that, you're talking about time, like, you know, with rewrites and all, like what type of time we're talking about. You know, I mean, this may not be for everybody, but just, you know, based on your experience, what type of time did you experience, you know, in doing the rewrites and all to make sure that, you know, it was what was needed to get published out there?
So like, I had the idea for like years, but I didn't actually put like pen to paper until like maybe like a year before the pandemic. So like 2019. And then when I started like writing the pitch, I hired someone to like kind of like, you know, basically proofread everything. So it's like nice and tidy. And then from there, I was getting more input. And from there, it's just kind of like a process where it's just kind of like, well, you know, I think you really need a better ending for this chapter, or you have a better ending for this issue and whatever. So it's going to take time. But from there on, I mean, it took a few years just to get Chispa, that one time that I saw the tweet. It took a few years from like 2019 to like maybe 2022, just to get stuff started. So.
Oh, excellent. There we go. I mean, rocking. I mean, this book is fire, folks. Definitely been a fun read. Definitely experience. A lot of Latinos in it. So, you know, I mean, even though I'm pure, but I feel it. I mean, we're a big community out here. That's my man, Pedro Vista Campos, is trying to start that Latin Union, baby, because we're all one. And I love it. I love the culture, too. So I'm digging it. So this book, you know, how did it land with Simon and Schuster, though? Talk to me about that journey.
So Chispa, and so here I'm going to show you. This is the first issue.
Hey, wait a minute! Hey! We gotta get you on that big screen. Ooh, look at that baby right there. That's the first issue right there. Woo.
So this is the variant cover of thanks Romina for the first issue right here. I went to LA last summer to do some signings at like Collector's Paradise, House of sorry, not House of Collector's Paradise, Comic Bug. My friend Jared Sams, he's the one that did the variant cover. He's really awesome. He's also a fellow comic creator. He's my homie. He's great. Look him up.
So Rick and Morty is too on that style.
Yeah, that's his style, and he's so cool about it. But yeah, so Chispa was like, look, we're gonna publish the whole thing, but we're just gonna actually distribute like the first issue, and then from there we're just gonna wait and do the collected edition, and just hand it off to Simon & Schuster to distribute it. So Chispa's still the publisher, but Simon & Schuster is the distributor for the graphic novel there, where that way we can just get into more stores. So it's not just comic book stores. It's, you know, like Barnes and Noble. It's your local bookstore, you know, around the corner.
Oh, cool. So did you know this from the beginning? That was the plan? I mean, and how do you feel that as a creator about that type of plan? You're confident that's a great lane to get the story out there?
At first, I don't think that was like, I think in the beginning, it was just kind of like, you know, we'll do like the first 5 and then do one graphic novel, but then it kind of shifted to like, it's smarter business wise to kind of like put the first issue out there to kind of like get people excited for it, and then wait until a graphic novel or the collected edition and send it out that way. Only because I've heard from other comic creators, like when you have like issues, you kind of have like diminishing returns. Like, you know, the second issue is not going to be as big as the first. Third one's not going to be as big as the second. You know, it just, you know, as time goes on, people are not spending $5 for each issue, you know?
Don't listen to them either, because, you know, you're Giulie, you know, Speziani. You're going to give them the gangster. They're going to have to buy it when you come through at that table. When you drop your card, you know, they have to buy the book, Giulie.
Yeah. I agree.
I can't wait to meet you in person. All right, so this book is available now for everybody to buy. And I mean, especially with the holidays coming, I think this is actually a fantastic book to buy because, you know, again, not a traditional story, that superhero nonsense that everybody thinks comics is just about. I'm not calling it nonsense, but I'm just saying that that's what everybody, comic book superheroes, no, it's so much more than that. And I think that, thanks, Romina, it's again one of those beautiful examples of those slice of life, great stories that it's one of those books that you won't be able to put down. Again, I had to stop reading, and I hate that. Giulie interrupted me. How rude of her. I had to do this. But I'll get back to reading. But this is what these wonderful books are about. So a great stocking stuffer. Wouldn't you agree, Giulie? I mean, if you give anyone an elevator pitch right now as to why they need to gift this to their comic book fan in their life, what would you say?
I would say, like, if you've ever got your first job and you didn't know what you're doing, this is a comic book for you, because everyone's felt that way, felt like the odd person out. Especially like if you've been to like high school, you know that freshman feeling of being like the newbie, and everyone knows that feeling of like being kind of scared in a new environment. So if you're into funny office humor, this is a book for you.
Oh, there we go. Here's what we gotta do now, Giulie. I know we're ending out the year, but we're gonna be starting a new one. Do you have any plans on conventions where we could maybe meet you in person, shake that hand, get some signed copies of some of these books? What's popping?
Right now I live in North Carolina, so I'm no longer in Cali.
And see, you better watch out for them monkeys out there.
That's South Carolina.
Well, that's South. Hey, listen, they may go up north. You better be careful.
They're still missing. They're still missing as of today.
They're going up north. I'm telling you.
Heroes Con is the one that's really popular here in Charlotte. Heroes Con is a pretty cool East Coast comic convention, and I think I'm going to be there next year. I don't know where else I'll be, but check on Ginger Rabbit Studio and make sure to check out where I'm going to be signing at.
Wait a minute, we ain't leaving without talking about that. I love that. What a segue. I like her. It's very awesome. So talk about Ginger Rabbit Studios, this publishing studio you got. I mean, what are we talking about here? When did you start this? And what are the offerings? So you know what? Let me just do it. Oh my God, I have to do it. I have to start teasing. Wait a minute, I have it right there. Bang! Talk about that website right there, girl.
Yeah. So my husband and I, Rob Harrington is my husband. We started Ginger Rabbit Studio because we started making comics together, and he also had
Wait, he's
a
a
comic.
comic book fan, or did you put him in a headlock and make him one?
No, it was basically, well, we started dating, and I was like, "Oh, you're into comic books," and he kind of downplayed it. He's like, yeah." And then later on, he was just kind of like, "Hey, I think you would really like these comic books," and I read them, and I was like, "These are awesome." One of them was "Why the Last Man." I love "Why the Last Man." I
Oh,
love
nice.
Brian K. Vaughan.
Oh yeah, Brian K. Oh, bro. Ah, Brian K. Yo, for real, big boss. Yeah, for real.
Yeah. So from there, I was just like, okay, we'll do more stuff together. So like his stuff and my stuff are in that photo right there. He also had his book published by Action Lab way back when, and so it's been really awesome that we just like collaborated in that sense. But like he had his comics, but I had my comics and kept it copacetic.
I love it, man. So, I mean, if we go to this website, can we purchase the books you've made thus far? Like, what's the website about? I mean, I see comic book titles. Let's get into that. I mean, hey, look at that. Thanks to Romina, Cash, Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hears voices. What's that? Rainbow Beard. Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, mine is only one color right now. Look at this.
But hey, you could, paint it, tint it.
I know, right? It's a blank canvas right now, apparently.
just dip it in some ink. No one's gonna notice.
Oh my! By the slice, I'm in New York, and that touches my heart right there because I live like that. Every time I go to New York, too, let me tell you, I need to get a slice from Nona's. I mean, so New York, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles type of slice that drips down with cheese,
Yeah, of course. But yeah, you could get these. Most of them, I don't know if Comixology is still around.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, yeah, so they're still on there, and a few others. Like if you can't find it online, I'm sure it clicks to Amazon. So.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, listen, the Comixology around. I went to the Comixology breakfast at New York Comic Con this year. Wonderful event, and they're still doing a lot of wonderful things for independent comics. I'm digging what they're doing, and a lot of good things coming. And let's see how else they could help the independent community. Get their stories out there. You know what I mean? That's the most important part to me. And again, folks, follow right here, GingerRabbitStudio.com. Support independent comics, independent creators. Yeah, you can also put on Instagram, Giulie Speziani, just how I say it, baby. That shit sounds so gangster. I love it. And then and then you got the blue sky right there at G, that's GWE Money. All right. Hey, that's a hip hop name. Should be dropping an album real soon. You know what I mean? Let's go. Hey, G Money. All right, from NC. Hey, what's popping, man? Can you drop us a couple of bars right now?
Oh no! Nay, not happening.
I say the nay, not today. Hey, there we go. You dropped the time today.
Oh, awesome!
I love it. You're awesome. I dig what you're doing. I dig the creativity. Thank you for being out there. You're just from a comic book fan to a creator. Just thank you, especially with this book, because you are. I see pieces of it now as I got to speak to you and reading the book. I do see these pieces of you. So wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, those parts of your life with us as a creator. Thank you for being creative and sharing those stories. Again, not everybody does this or can do this. They say it's so easy, but I don't see them doing it. You know what I mean? So thank you for doing and not trying. Wepa, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. We got to get your man on the show and talk about his last book and what shenanigans are going on with Action Lab. Did he get his IP back? I'm interested to know what's going on there because I know a lot of creators are still challenged and fighting over the IPs through that, IP whorehouse that was Action Lab. I mean, no, I'm just saying, supposedly. There we go, right? That's what I'm
saying. Yeah. Don't come after me.
There you go. That's what they told me allegedly. All right. Allegedly. But hopefully a lot of creators are getting their stuff back. It's sad when our publishers do that, but and that's why I really support independent creators. Your journeys are difficult as is, and I hope that you guys continue doing Comic Crusaders always have your support. My fellow Crusaders. I mean, we have a lot of viewers right now, and all specifically on the platform called X.
Yeah, exactly.
They love
X out of it.
tell you, they love comic books. So everybody
Yeah.
watching right now is all coming through X. So thank you to all my X fans out there, Crusader fans that are watching through X. You know, the wonderful community that still exists there. You know, stay positive, stay real. Support my homegirl here, Giulie. Again, I gotta show you. The links are on the notes. Again, Ginger Rabbit Studio.com, all right? US, baby. And of course, on Instagram is Giulie Speziani. Oh, so gangster, I'm telling you. But our Blue Sky, that's gmoney.bsky.social, baby. You know, everybody, so many creators are going to the Blue Sky platform. So again, you know, go ahead, follow your favorite creator out there. You know, they're leaving platforms for reasons that you may understand or maybe not, but it is what it is. You got to respect everybody's choices. This is what it is, and let's just continue to be friends and show love. Who cares about all that bullshit? Those people don't care about us, but you know what I do care about? Comic books and creators like this. Hey, let's go. Fuck politics. Long live comic books and indie creators. Right, Ma? Don't you agree there at least? Let's go. Guys, so much love, Giulie. Thank you to my Crusaders. Thank you. You know what it is. Follow everything Comic Crusaders at comiccrusaders.com, all over the socials. YouTube, that's Comic Crusaders World, because I have an extended family there. Big salute to my whole extended family. Much love. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Wepa!
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.